Cameron leaving Sirius XM, just got done with the Max B interview. Max B had the NY streets flooded. Jimmy acting like he can't see the water rising.
Then these niggas go back like 40 years.
When you hear that you definitely come home, what's the energy? Because I'm going to keep it 100. Yo, Killer, I got to talk to the governor in Jersey.
Yeah, the
Yo, once I
mayor.
speak to the mayor in East Brunswick, got coming up.
It was like I said, you just gotta switch the mindset.
Max B coming home. Where we at with that? Are you able to get past that?
No.
What if I told you the real reason Jim Jones still tenses up at the mere mention of Max B's name is something he prayed would never resurface? What if I told you Cameron just cracked open a secret so dark, so buried, so career-ending, that the entire hip-hop world is bracing for the impact? Because tonight we're not talking about old beef, petty shots, or internet trolling. No, this is something deeper, older, heavier, something so explosive that insiders say Jim has spent years dodging it, denying it, and pretending it never happened. Picture this. Cam walks out of that Sirius XM studio after interviewing Max B for the first time since his release. His face tight, his tone cold, his words sharper than Harlem winter wind. And then he drops the bomb that sends shockwaves across the industry. Jim knows what he did. That's why he still fears Max. The entire internet freezes. What did he mean? What exactly does Jim know? And why would a man who built his whole image on toughness, loyalty, and Harlem pride still be terrified of a former collaborator? Then the leaks start bubbling. Secret messages, old recordings, unreleased footage, industry whispers. Things that paint a picture far messier than the public ever imagined. Suddenly, fans are scrambling through archives, pulling up old interviews, dissecting every sentence, every facial twitch, every line Jim ever spat about. Max B clues start connecting. Stories start aligning, and the truth? The truth looks nothing like the legend Jim's been selling. Tonight, you're about to hear the version they tried to bury forever. And once you hear it, you'll never look at Dipset the same again. The moment Cameron stepped out of that Sirius XM building, something in the air shifted. He wasn't smiling, he wasn't joking, he wasn't in Killa Cam mode. He walked with that slow, heavy Harlem stride, the one he only pulls out when he's carrying something dangerous. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed, fans yelled his name. But he didn't look at anybody. He kept walking, jaw clenched, eyes locked forward like he was replaying a war in his mind. And then, in a moment that felt like destiny cracking open, someone asked the question that flipped the entire city upside down. Cam, how you feel about Max being home? Cam stopped, turned, looked dead into the cameras, and said the line that detonated the internet. Ask Jim. He knows why he's scared. The clip spread faster than wildfire. No caption, no explanation. Just pure nuclear-level tension. Twitter erupted instantly. Fans started screaming about old Bird Gang drama. Max B supporters dragged up decade-old interviews. Dipset loyalists defended Jim like their lives depended on it. The phrase, "he knows what he did," hit trending status in under 40 minutes. And while everyone tried to decipher Cam's tone, body language, and hidden meaning, the real chaos was brewing somewhere else entirely. Because not even an hour later, a leaked voicemail surfaced online. A voice that sounded eerily like someone from inside Jim's circle whispering, "He don't want that man outside. Not after what happened." No details, no clarity, just enough smoke to convince the internet there was a raging fire behind it. People replayed it, slowed it down, cleaned the audio, enhanced it like they were prepping evidence for a courtroom. And the more they analyzed, the more the whispers turned into a full-blown conspiracy. Jim Jones had a reason, an old, unspoken, hidden reason to fear Max B. Meanwhile, Max himself was glowing. Fresh out of prison, smiling, relaxed, walking with that signature wavy swagger like he never missed a beat. He sits down for an interview with Cam and Mae, and in the middle of reminiscing, joking, thanking the universe for freedom, the conversation dips into a silence that feels loaded. Cam looks at Max, nods slowly, and says calmly, "You know he still ain't let that go, right?" Max laughs, but not the "this is funny" laugh. No, it's that knowing laugh, the one you use when someone brings up a story too messy to speak aloud. Max taps the table, smirks, and says, "He know why?" That moment sends fans spiraling. Because if Max B, who has always been loud, wild, unfiltered, reckless with the truth, chooses not to elaborate, then whatever he's not saying must be catastrophic. The silence becomes louder than any beef track ever recorded. Then someone digs up an old clip. Jim Jones on camera being asked about Max while he was still locked up. Jim's whole face changed, eyes dropped, shoulders shifted, voice tightened. He said, "I wish him the best," but his expression betrayed him. Fans freeze frame it, zoom in, slow it down. They point out the micro expressions, the tension in his jaw, the way his hands fidgeted under the table. "This man's scared," someone posts. The comment hits 2 million views overnight. And just when the internet thinks it can't get crazier, a second leak hits the timeline. Supposedly a DM from someone tied to Bird Gang back in the 2000s. The message claims Max B wasn't just writing hooks. He wasn't just helping with melodies. He wasn't just a collaborator. According to this alleged insider, Max B was ghostwriting entire sections of Jim's material Jim later claimed full credit for. The DM even says Max caught him doing something foul with the publishing. That's the real fallout. The internet loses its mind. Publishing, ghostwriting, money disappearing? Betrayal at the creative level? Suddenly, fans accuse Jim of stealing from Max. Others argue Max was reckless and self-destructive. Entire threads explode between Bird Gang purists and wavy supporters. TikTok creators reenact the alleged betrayal in dramatic skits. Reaction channels pull up old music, comparing flows, dissecting bars, hunting for similarities. But the real twist comes when another leak drops, this time video. Grainy, low resolution, recorded on some ancient flip phone. But the audio is clear enough to ignite panic. It's a heated argument in a studio. Voices shouting, equipment falling, and one voice, one that sounds disturbingly like Max, yelling, "You did me dirty, you know what you did." People replay it 100 times. They match vocal patterns. They identify Studio 54's layout in the background. They analyze every yell, every clatter, every muffled curse. And suddenly the timeline decides the argument was about money, loyalty, maybe even a street situation gone wrong. Something Max took the weight for while Jim walked away untouched. Celebrities jump in. French Montana posts a cryptic wave emoji. Joe Budden goes on live saying, "This ain't small." This is old Harlem tension resurfacing. Remy Ma comments under a clip with a single eye emoji. Even Fat Joe reposts Cam's interview snippet with the caption, "History always comes back around." Now the conspiracy grows legs. People claim Max B took a fall for something Jim was involved in. Others insist Jim blocked opportunities for Max. Theories stack like dominoes until Harlem turns into a digital battlefield. And Jim starts reacting. He scrolls through comments live, his expression tight, his energy off. Someone in the chat writes, "You scared of Max?" Jim freezes. His whole demeanor shifts. He clenches his jaw, takes a breath, and says, "Y'all believe anything. Stop playing with me." But fans swear he looked shaken. Clips circle online titled, "Jim Jones breaks under pressure," and "This is the moment he lost it." And then the final leak of the night blows everything wide open. A screenshot of a text message allegedly from someone very close to Max. It says, "When he was inside, he learned the truth about how everything went down. That's why he's really coming back." Fans scream. Comment sections explode. People demand answers from Jim, demand clarity from Max, demand Cam speak again, demand the full story. But the cliffhanger hits when a new video drops. Cam on Instagram Live sitting calmly, sipping a drink. Someone asks about Jim. Cam smirks, leans into the camera, and says one sentence that sends shivers down the spine of the entire culture. He fears that man because he knows exactly what he did. And then he ends the live. The world is left breathless. Because now it's not about rumors, it's not about leaks, it's not about beef, it's about a secret buried so deep, the entire Dipset legacy might crack open when it hits the surface. And tomorrow? Tomorrow someone is dropping the first piece of the real story. The city didn't even have time to recover from the first explosion, before the second wave of chaos hit harder than anything Dipset ever dropped. Because just as fans were scrambling to piece together what Cam meant when he said Jim Jones knows what he did, a brand new leak detonated across the internet, this time a full conversation. Allegedly between two people who were deep inside the Bird Gang circle back in the early 2000s. The audio quality was rough, crackly, clearly recorded on some dusty flip phone from an era when ringtones still mattered. But the voices? The voices were unmistakable. One person whispers, "Jimmy did him foul, man," and the other responds, "Max ain't never gonna forget that. That's why he's scared." Those last three words, "that's why he's scared," became the soundtrack of the entire internet. Every reaction page reposted it. Every gossip blog slapped it in their headlines. Every fan page looped it with dramatic background music. And instantly, the entire culture went from curious to obsessed. People started digging through old archives like detectives in a crime series. They unearthed decade-old interviews where Max hinted that somebody around him sabotaged his come-up. They found clips where Jim danced around questions about Max's publishing. They replayed that infamous Vlad TV interview where Max smirked and said, "He know what he did," long before Cam ever said it. And suddenly fans started stitching together a timeline so detailed it looked like a forensic investigation. Reddit threads stretched for miles. Twitter spaces turned into heated town halls. TikTok creators broke down theories using conspiracy charts and red string mood boards. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it was an obsession. But things took an even wilder turn when someone leaked an old studio hard drive clip. The video, shaky, dimly lit, filmed from behind a mixing board, showed a heated argument between Max B and Jim Jones. Max was pacing, waving his arms, yelling something like, "Stop playing with my wave, stop playing with my work." Jim fired back, "You wouldn't have nothing without me, nothing." People slowed the clip, enhanced it, and found another voice buried under the yelling. Someone saying, "Chill, you know the paperwork ain't clean." That one line sent shockwaves through the entire hip-hop community. Because now the conversation wasn't just about beef. It wasn't just about hurt pride. It wasn't just about old tension. It was about business. It was about money. It was about betrayal. And then, just when fans thought they had reached maximum chaos, a new bombshell dropped. A private message, supposedly from someone close to Max during his early Bird Gang days, began circulating on every platform. The message claimed that Max wasn't just doing hooks. He wasn't just contributing melodies. According to this alleged insider, Max wrote some of the biggest moments of that era, including parts of We Fly High, one of the biggest songs of Jim Jones's entire career. But here's where it got dark. The message said Max never saw a dime of the publishing, that Jim allegedly kept all the credit, all the royalties, all the shine. Suddenly, fans started replaying old interviews where Jim dodged questions about songwriting credits. They compared the style of Max's melodic wave to the hooks Jim performed. They analyzed vocal patterns like they were solving a murder. Then, as if the universe wanted to add gasoline to the fire, French Montana posted a cryptic video. He didn't say a word, not one. He just recorded himself driving down a Harlem street while Max B's voice played through the speakers. You know what you did? The internet erupted. French didn't even need captions. The message was crystal clear. Fans interpreted it as French co-signing the theory that Jim had crossed a line long ago, one Max had never forgiven. In the middle of all this chaos, Jim Jones finally broke his silence. He went live, clearly irritated, scrolling through comments as thousands of fans flooded the chat asking about Max. "Y'all weird," he said, shaking his head. "I'm grown, I ain't beefing with nobody. Max living his life, I'm living mine." But the comments didn't buy it. "You scared of Max?" one user typed. "Explain the publishing?" another said. Jim's eyes flickered, chest tightened, jaw clenched. "Don't play with me," he muttered. "Y'all don't know what y'all talking about." Fans clipped that exact moment and labeled it Jim Jones Panic Sets In. Within an hour, the clip had over 3 million views. Then an even wilder twist hit, this time from someone who didn't want to be anonymous. A Harlem OG, someone well respected in the streets and connected to the entire era, jumped on Instagram Live and dropped a story so heavy it sent shockwaves through every comment section. According to him, the real reason Max B and Jim split wasn't about money or business. It was about a decision Jim allegedly made that put Max in danger. The OG refused to give exact details, but he said Jim crossed a line. You don't cross with family. He said Max took a fall that wasn't entirely his. He said loyalty was broken in a way that would scar anyone for life. If Max ever told the full story, he said, all of Harlem would flip upside down. That one statement alone created a digital earthquake. People began digging deeper. Someone found an old interview where Max hinted that jail taught him who was really riding and who was hiding. Fans interpreted that as a shot at Jim. Someone else pulled up an interview from Jim in 2008 where he said, "I don't owe nobody nothing." And fans turned it into a meme titled, "The Moment He Sold His Soul." TikTok pages exploded with theories that Max took charges meant for someone else. Others claimed Jim distanced himself at the exact moment Max needed him most. And some insisted Jim sabotaged Max's momentum out of fear that Max's wave would overshadow his own. But then a discovery surfaced that flipped the timeline upside down. A tweet Max posted the night he got out of prison. He didn't mention Jim. He didn't mention Dipset. Instead, he tweeted, "God knows the truth. Freedom feels different when you didn't fold." Fans went insane. They interpreted "didn't fold" as a direct shot. They said this was Max's subtle way of exposing the fact that he stayed solid while other people didn't. Theories multiplied. Videos broke down every word. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. And then it happened. The moment that shut the entire internet down. Cam went live again, calm, cold, fully in control. Someone asked him about the rumors, the leaks, the theories. Cam smirked, leaned into the camera, and said, "Listen, Max home. He outside, he free. And Jimmy nervous. Why? Because that man remembers everything." Fans froze. Hearts stopped. Cam wasn't yelling. He wasn't joking. He wasn't hyping anything up. He was confirming it. "Everything?" Someone commented. Cam nodded. "Everything. All of it." Every move made, every line crossed, every play that went left. Jim knew what he did. And then Cam ended the live. Just like that, the internet detonated again. Because if Cam, arguably the most calculated, unbothered, unshakable figure in Harlem history, was speaking like that, then the truth behind Jim and Max's fallout wasn't just messy, it was catastrophic. And now the entire world was waiting for the next shoe to drop. Because somewhere out there, someone was holding the final piece of the story. The internet was already drowning in theories, clips, and accusations when the third and deadliest wave of chaos exploded. An anonymous message posted to a private forum known for leaking industry secrets. No username, no timestamp, just a single paragraph written like someone finally broke under years of silence. It read, "Everybody blaming Max or Jim, but none of y'all know the real Harlem story. If the truth drops, careers end, friendships die, and somebody gonna have to answer for what really went down that night." Jim been scared because Max never forgot, and Cam ain't never forgiven. Within minutes, the entire hip-hop ecosystem entered DEFCON 1. That message got screenshotted, reposted, dissected, translated, remixed, flipped into TikTok animations, turned into reaction memes. People started connecting it to old Dipset drama, bird gang fractures, even street rumors whispered in corners of Harlem for decades. The theory wasn't that Max B hated Jim, it was that Max knew something. Something that could shatter Jim's legacy like glass. Suddenly, more anonymous accounts started dropping cryptic claims. One said, "Ask about the paperwork." Another, "Ask about who was supposed to take that hit." Then a third message that instantly blew up, "Ask who switched the night before." Those three clues sent the internet into full detective mode. People dug into Max's court documents. They dug into Jim's old interviews. They dug into bird gang footage. Looking for tension, who stood where, who stayed quiet, who kept glancing off camera like they were hiding guilt. And then, the lost interview surfaced. A decade-old, nearly forgotten clip from a small podcast Max did before his trial. The clip wasn't polished, the audio glitched. But the words? The words sliced through the internet like a blade. When I needed my brothers, some of them vanished. Some of them let me take heat that wasn't mine. But I ain't fooled. Never will. Fans slowed the clip, enhanced it. Read his facial expressions like forensic scientists. They said Max wasn't speaking in metaphors. He was confessing the roots of the entire fallout. A narrative formed instantly. Something happened during that robbery situation, something that went far beyond music, far beyond money, something Max took the brunt of while someone else dodged responsibility. And all signs pointed to one man. Social media declared war. TikTok blew up with timelines charting every betrayal. Commentators posted with captions like "Jim knows" and "The night they don't talk about." conspiracy channels dropped hour-long breakdowns comparing every public statement Jim ever made about Max. Fans noted the tremble in his voice when asked about him. They pointed out the way he dodged the subject, the way he cut interviews short, the way he only gave robotic answers. Then came the nuclear moment. Cam'ron went live again. This time, he wasn't calm, he wasn't smirking, he wasn't playing with the fans. He leaned in close to the camera, hoodie on, eyes dark and unblinking, and said, "Y'all want to know why Jim still fears Max? Y'all want to know the truth? Ask him who was supposed to be with Max that night. Ask who switched up. Ask who ain't pick up the phone. Ask who left Max hanging when everything went left. He knows what he did." The internet exploded. Because Cam wasn't talking about music, he wasn't talking about business. He was talking about that one night. The night that changed Max B's life forever. The night Max always spoke about in riddles. The night nobody ever broke down publicly. Fans instantly interpreted Cam's message as confirmation that Jim was supposed to be there. That Jim was connected to the situation in a way he's always denied. That Max took charges, time, and consequences meant for more than just himself. Suddenly, thousands of fans were commenting, "Jim let him burn. Max covered for the wrong people. This is why Jim's scared." Then a 4-second clip leaked, so short you could blink and miss it. A snippet of Cam talking off camera to someone in a studio years ago. He says, "That man held it down for people who ain't hold him down." The clip hit 13 million views in a day. Jim finally responded with the weakest defense imaginable. In a live stream filled with forced jokes and fake bravado, a viewer asked, "What did you do to Max B?" Jim's smile broke. His eyes dropped. His voice cracked for half a second before he said, "Man, y'all love drama." Stop with that. But the chat wasn't buying it. He nervous. He lying. He scared. He hiding something? Then the unthinkable happened. Max B himself addressed it, not directly, not explicitly. But in a new Instagram video, fresh out of jail, looking healthier than ever, he said, "Life ain't about revenge. But I ain't forget nothing." People reveal themselves when times get dark, some real, some not. But when the truth comes out, just know the wave ain't never lied. The internet nearly imploded. Max's tone, Max's smirk, Max's emphasis on truth. Influencers began posting, "Max about to expose the real story." Music insiders started tweeting mysterious messages like, "Harlem knows," and "It's time." The final blow came when leaked screenshots surfaced from a private group chat rumored to include several Harlem veterans. The message read, "Max didn't fear prison, but Jimmy fears Max. And when Max starts talking, the culture gon' shift. Watch." And now the entire hip-hop world is holding its breath because the silence before the storm is getting too loud. The clues are adding up too perfectly. The truth is knocking too aggressively. Something happened that night. Something only Max, Cam, and Jim know. Something Jim hoped would stay buried forever. But Max B is free now. And the wave always comes back. The real question is, what happens when Max finally tells the world what he's been holding on to for 16 years? Because when that truth drops, Jim Jones' entire legacy might collapse in seconds. If you're still here right now, heart pounding, brain racing, trying to make sense of the chaos surrounding Cam'ron, Jim Jones, and Max B, then you already know this isn't just another celebrity story. This is a living earthquake, a real-time unraveling of secrets the culture was never supposed to hear. And trust me, what's coming next is even more explosive than everything you just heard. So listen closely, because this part is important. You cannot afford to watch the saga from a distance. Not now. Not when every hour brings a new leak, a new clue, a new meltdown, a new confrontation that flips the entire narrative upside down. And when the next revelation drops, and it will drop, you're going to want to be here the second it hits. Not scrolling Twitter hours later wondering what you missed. Not hearing it third hand through watered down recaps. You need to be front row for the truth when it finally erupts. So right now, hit like. Smash that button so the algorithm knows this is the story the world needs to see. Drop a comment. Tell me who you believe. Tell me what theory you think is the real one. Tell me whether Jim is hiding something or whether Max is about to unleash something the culture isn't ready for. And above everything else, subscribe. Turn on all notifications because this story isn't slowing down. It's building toward a breaking point, and the next update could drop tonight, tomorrow, or in the middle of the night when nobody's looking. Don't get left behind. Don't miss the moment the truth finally comes out. Hit like, comment, subscribe. Because if you're not here when the next bombshell hits, you won't just be late, you'll be lost.